Hello guys, good evening. D'Souza, we can start.
Yeah, those. Hello, all. Good evening. Happy Friday. So, finally, Friday. How are you people? Okay, so let me start the session. Just give me a minute. Let me open my instance. Okay, let me share my screen. Okay, so today we are going to talk something about client side and server side scripts. Okay, so we have two kinds of scriptings in ServiceNow. One is the client-side scripting, and the other one is the server-side scripting. Okay. How many of you know, like, I just don't want the definitions. Okay. I just want you people just to tell me what is client-side and what is server-side. Just in your, how you understand, like just by that name, like what you understand. What is client-side? What is server-side? Whatever you know, you can just like chat here. What do you understand by client side? Client side is end user side. Yes, you're right, Tejasvi. Client side means user browser. Yes. Works on browser, focus on front end, server side, focus on back end. Yes, you're right. Client does front end. Yes. Okay. So you people are right. Okay. Client side scripting is something like which will be whatever the changes which you are doing, you will be able to see the changes on the web browser itself. Okay. Actually, in ServiceNow, okay, we use scripting. Okay. We use scripting in ServiceNow. Okay. Like in ServiceNow, why do we use scripting? So if we want to customize, okay, if you want to customize and let's say automate various platform functionalities. Okay, so whatever the functionalities we have, if you just want to change those functionalities according to your requirement, okay, so that time we will be using this ServiceNow scripting. Okay, now what is client-side scripting? Okay, so as I told you, this scripting can be executed both on client side, on the server side. Client side is something like when we execute the script on the browser. Okay, if we execute the script on the user's browser, okay, so it is something like before submitting it. Okay, before saving it or before submitting it, whatever. Sorry, whatever the changes which you see, okay, so those things are called as the client side scripting. Okay, so coming to the server side, it is something like whatever the changes which you do in backend. Okay, in other words, I can say that like everything in the service now is in the form of a tables. Okay, whatever the data which we store in service now, it is stored in the form of a tables. So the server-side scripting is something like if we want to retrieve any data from any of the tables in the backend. Okay, not on the form. It's something like you need to get the data from the backend tables. So that is nothing but the server-side scripting. Let me just give you an example. Let's say whenever I enter the user's name, okay, uh, So yesterday we have created some forms, right? Like requested for, and then like we are able to uh, give three more fields like type of phone and all. Okay. So there, say for example, if you have given the user, okay, you are the person who has logged in, and like if you try to and fill the form. So whenever you fill the form, whenever you start filling in the form, automatically the manager name needs to be populated. How that needs to be populated? So again, it is a combination of two. Okay, one is like it has to go to the table, fetch the details from there. Okay, and then it has to replicate it on the form. Okay, so that will be a combination of both the client side and the server side scripting. Okay, so now let's talk something about the client side scripting in little detail. Okay, say as I told you, this client side scripting, it will be executing on the web browser. Okay, so the client side scripting is executed on the web browser. Okay, and like why is this used? It is mainly used to enhance user interface. Okay. So whenever you want to change the interface, and like if you want to, and like if you want to provide any interactive experience. Okay. So yesterday, like if you remember, we have written one UI policy, right? So what is that UI policy? Whenever experience, yeah. Okay, so whenever I selected the phone as landline, so that time I have like only the landline models should be visible. And whenever I select the type as mobile, only the mobile models will be should be visible. Okay, it doesn't harm anything if we show both the models. There's no wrong in that, but the thing is to enhance the experience. Okay, like if you show both the things, the person will get confused, and like he'll not know why I have selected the landline model. I want landline, I have selected the landline, but why is this mobile phones popping up? Okay, so the user experience is not good there. So that's the reason, like what we have done is, so whenever the person selects the phone type as landline, so what we are doing, we are showing the landline models, hiding the mobile models. In the same way, whenever he selects something as mobile, we are hiding the landline models, showing the mobile models. Okay, so it is something like we just want to, what I can say, provide a good user experience. Okay, so that's the reason we mostly use this client side scripting. Okay, and like if you want to know when to use this client-side scripting, that is also more important, right? Now you know what is client-side scripting. Okay, then you came to know like what is the use of this client-side scripting. Now let us talk something about like when we use this client-side scripting. Okay, so let's say the first thing mostly we will be used is for form validation. Let me take an example. Let us take the same catalog item. Okay, let us take the same catalog item. Total. Okay, so whatever the catalog item which you have created yesterday, you can just go to the service portal home. Okay, there you can just search it. Okay, so this is the one which we have created, right? So let me open this. So here it is something like it's the mandatory field. Okay, you have to select something. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. Whenever you select landline, only this landline is coming up. And when you select mobile, this mobile is coming up. These are the changes which we are doing it on the form. Okay, it is something like it enhances the user experience. Okay. Now let me open an incident table. Let me try to create a new. So here, okay. So there are some mandatory fields. Okay. Let me give some color. Okay. Let me give some color. Then I'll try to submit it. Okay. Even if I try to submit it, there is a error which is popping up saying that like the following mandatory fields are not filled in. What is that field? It's a short description. Okay, so this is something like on submit of this, it is validating this form. Okay, so mostly we will be using the client scripts for form validations. So when you fill any form, okay, so even in like whenever you are filling any forms, okay, so when you don't fill any mandatory fields or if you fill it wrong, okay, so like those all those errors popped up one by one when you try to submit the form saying that you did not fill this is the not data, like you need to enter the phone number in the numeric, not in the alphabets. Okay, all those data validations and all those errors will pop up, okay, when you submit the form. That is nothing but form validation. Okay, it is something like what it will be doing. It will validate user input, right? Whatever the data which we put into the form, it just validate that. Before submitting a form, let's see. Okay, then we have something called form validation is done. And the other use of this is something like dynamic UI changes. Okay, so this dynamic UI changes is something like, say, if you want to hide any fields or if you want to show any fields. So this is the best example. Okay, so like we don't know like what the person wants. Okay, so dynamically it should work. It shouldn't be struck. It shouldn't be any static value. Dynamically it should update whatever the value which you give. Okay, so that is nothing but the dynamic UI changes. Okay. Then comes the real-time updates. Okay, so this real-time updates is something like, say for example, once you submit the form, okay, once you submit the form, complete the request, there will be a survey which will coming up, right? Okay, so that is nothing but like the immediate feedback. Okay, so the immediate feedback will be sent to the user once they complete that particular request. Okay, so that is nothing but the real-time updates. Okay, so these are like what I can say, like these are the main places where we will be using this client script. Okay, so any queries in this client script? If you people are clear with this client script, then we can just go ahead with the examples. I can see Vasu saying no. Can you just pose the question? What is the question? You have it. What about other people? Is it clear? I just need some answers. Either yes or no, anything is fine. Okay, okay, got it. Okay, that's great. Okay, now let's take a simple example. Okay, let me take a simple example and let me create a client script there. Okay, I'm just showing you all the examples. So once we get into the classes, you can just know like what all are these. Okay, and you'll get a clear picture of these things once you start working on it. Okay, so I'm just writing some client scripts. So I'm just writing some test script. Okay, so this is the form. So for that, I'm writing this test script. UI type, it should work both on desktop and mobile. So that's why I'll select it as all. And the types, we have something called as on load, on change, on submit, and on cell edit. Okay, so whenever you change, this will come into picture. Whenever the form is loaded, if you want to show something, you can just show that on cell edit. Okay, on submit. So as of now, let me, like I'm just writing for the on change. Okay, so whenever I change the field of state, let's say, okay, so what is that state field? This is what. So whenever I change this, or whenever I change this channel, let's say, whenever I change channel, okay, so whenever I change the field of this channel to anything else, so that time what I want is I want this description to be mandatory. Okay, whenever I change the channel, so that time my description also should be mandatory. So how can I write that? It's a simple script. Okay, so what I'm doing on change of channel. Okay, because like I just want to show that like whenever there is a change in the channel. So what I want to do there. Okay, so this is where this is just the description what you want to do. Okay, what I want to do here, make description field mandatory when channel is changed. Okay, whenever we change the channel field, it should make. So now what I'll do, so this is on change. So here I just want to make that as mandatory. Where I want to make that as mandatory on the form. Okay, so that is nothing but the G underscore form dot set mandatory. Okay, so if you see here, okay, so all these are populating automatically. If I say I just want to do it on the form. Okay, so I'm just like actually these are the glide forms and these are the functions which we have. Okay, some are on the client side and some are on the server side. Okay, so these are the different methods and the different functions which we have it. Okay. Now, so G underscore form dot, what I want to do, I want to just, sorry, it's G underscore form. Okay. G underscore form dot, I just want to make mandatory. Okay. So what I can do, I can just make it as set mandatory. That's it. Okay. If I just make it as mandatory, what I want to make it as mandatory, so everything will be shown here. Okay, so the syntax and what is that used for? So what I want to do, G underscore form dot set mandatory. Okay, so the set mandatory, I should give the field name. So what field I want to make it as mandatory? So actually there are two, like when we are creating this forms and all, there were two names, right? One is the label you are seeing. Okay, if you double click on it, so you'll be getting one more name. This is the backend name. Okay, so whenever you are writing any script, you have to consider this backend name and write the script. Okay, so here I'm just want to make this description mandatory. So I'll just copy paste this. So make sure that the names are given correctly. Okay, if you don't give the names correctly, you'll not get the output which is required. Okay, so what I want to do, I just want to make the description mandatory, that is true. Okay, field name, I have just given the field name and the value will be the boolean. Boolean is nothing but either true or false. If I just don't want to make that as mandatory, I'll make it as set mandatory description false. Okay, so that's the only thing. So now I'll just fill the color to something else. Okay. And short description. And when, as of now, the description is not mandatory. When I change the channel to something, I think one more script is also running here. Can you see this? Okay, onload scripts are also running. Okay, onload and on-submit scripts are also running. So you are seeing all the changes at a time. Okay, so whenever I change the caller to something else, you are able to see that the description has become mandatory, right? So that can be achieved with a simple script, okay, which will be auto-populated in a simple way. Clear? Are people clear, or do you have any queries in this client script? Let us talk about the glide. Okay, I'll talk about the glide. Okay. So if you people want to know more about the glide, okay, so let us first talk about the glide. Okay, then later we can just go to the server side scripting. First, now let me talk something about the glide. The first thing is, what is glide API? Okay, so for everything we'll be using glide. Okay, so first we want to know what is glide API. So it is something like if you want to customize anything, okay, if you want to customize or if you want to change the like whatever the behavior, as of now the description is not mandatory, but we are changing the behavior to mandatory. Okay, so if you want to change the default behavior or if you want to customize the existing functionality, so that time we will be using this glide APIs. Okay, so the we have something called as the glide classes. Okay, so this glide classes are something like it uh in a simple way. If I want you to if I want you people to understand, I can say for example, for the database. Okay, for the database, if you want to get any data, update any data, or do any of the operations, we will be using SQL queries, right? Okay, we'll be writing the SQL queries and we'll do it. And in the same way, like if you want to do any changes in the service now, okay, through scripting, we will be using this glide classes. Okay, so glide classes are something like it is used to interact with the ServiceNow application, okay, through scripting. So here we are writing the SQL queries. So, but in ServiceNow from the JavaScript, if you using the JavaScript, if you want to get any data, we will be using this glide classes. Okay, and also these glide APIs, there are different types of glide APIs. Okay, client side glide APIs and the server side glide APIs. Okay, so coming to the glide side, we have something called as the glide form. Okay, so that is what we have used just now, G underscore form. So this is something like the client side. Like if you want to change any details on the client side, if you want to make any changes on the client side. So that time we will be using this glide form. That is nothing but G underscore form. Okay, we have so many things, something like glide form, and we also have something called as the glide user, glide ajax. Okay, so each of this okay, each of the type has a different functionality. If you want to get the details about the user, so that time you'll be using glide user. Say for example, the previous example, the manager example I told you, right? Say, for example, if you want to retrieve the data which is in the server side and you want to show it on the browser. So that time we'll be using this glide Ajax. Okay, so we have so many methods here. And coming to the server side, we have something called as server side, we have something called as a glide record, glide system, glide date and time, glide aggregation. Okay, there were so many things. Okay, so this glide API part is a vast topic. Okay, but I just want you to know why we use this glide API, what is the advantage of it, and why we are using that glide. Because, like, I saw a person asking that why we are using glide. So, did this answer your question? Okay, thank you. Okay, so this is something about the glide. Now, let's come back to this client scripts thing. So in the client scripts, okay, so basically the scripts are divided into two types, as I told you. One is the client side scripts and the other is the server side scripts. In the client side scripts, you have something called as the client scripts, which we have just written. Okay, and we have something called as the UI policies, which we wrote yesterday. Okay, so that is nothing but the UI policies. This is the client scripts. So the client scripts are something like whenever an event occurs on a form. So what we are doing here, so whenever we change something or whenever on submit, okay, so that is also an event. On change, that is also an event. On load, that is also an event. Okay, whenever a specific event occurs, whenever a specific event occurs on a form, such as like loading, changing, all this, okay, submitting. So that time this client script will come into picture. So UI policies are something like if you want to change the behavior, let's say if you want to show the fields or if you want to hide the fields. Okay, so for the same purpose, we have used it yesterday, right? Show the fields, hide the fields, and if you want to make the fields read only. Okay, so there were so many things like why we will be using this UI policies. Okay, so these are the types of scripts which we have it on the client side. Okay, is it clear? Can we just go to the server side? Yes, no? Yes, it performs CRUD operations. Create, read, update, delete. Okay, whatever the operations which you want to perform both in rows and columns, so that data will be done here. Okay, that's fine. Now let's start. What is server-side scripting? Okay, so as I told you, the server-side scripting, it is something like which executes on the backend. Okay, that is on the tables. Okay, so if you want to implement any business logic or you want to get any data from the database or if you want to integrate with the external systems, so in all these cases, we will be using this server-side scripting. Okay, in the server-side scripting, we have something called as the business rules. Okay, for this also, let us see like when to use. Okay, when we will be using the server-side scripts. When it will be used is something like, so if you want to retrieve or change or retrieve the data, okay, from any tables. So that time we will be using the server-side scripting. And in the same way, if you want to do any data manipulations, okay, I just given the user. Okay, so based on that, I just want to get the location. Okay, so I need to get that value. Okay, or say for example, let's say I want to perform any calculations. Okay, so all those are like if you want to update any records, all those will come under data manipulations. Okay, and also for integrations. Say, for example, if I want to connect with any external system, okay, other than ServiceNow, all will be the external systems. If I want to connect with any of the external system to exchange the data, okay, so that time we'll be using the server-side scripts, okay, and also like by using the server-side scripts, it is something like the secure, okay. We have something like even the access control secure in the sense like we have something called as the access controls in the service now. It is something like all the people cannot see all the data in the service now. Okay, let me show you something. Okay, the one more like the excellent functionality which it has is something like impersonate user. Okay, so this impersonate user is something like you will be able to see how the other person is seeing his page. Say, for example, you have developed a form. Okay, you got a requirement, you have developed that form. So before delivering it to the user or before delivering it to the customer, so what you can do is you can just wear his shoes and check how it looks. Okay, you can just like impersonate as that user and check how the page is looking for him. So let me just show you impersonate as user. I'll just impersonate as this person. Let's see. Can you see this? As of now, I can see only all favorites history. Okay, only three I'm seeing. Okay, and at the same time, here also so many options, the update set picker, the global, all these things are not shown. So this is how this person will be seeing the page. Okay, and also if you see here, say for example, user administration. Okay, I cannot see the tables at all or modules at all. But if I just go back, okay, if I just want to go back, how I can do, I can just end the impersonation. Now I can see the other options also, history, workspace, admin, all the search bar, group, so many things I can see because I'm an admin. Okay, admin is the person who has end-to-end access. Okay, but that person doesn't have the access. Okay, and also at the same time, like if I just want to search the module called user administration, I'll be able to see all these things. But the same thing I'm unable to see with that user. Okay, so what we are doing is we are restricting the access. Okay, we are restricting the access of that user due to some security constraints. Okay, so that like all the people will not be, because like say for example users data. Okay, so like even in your company's portal. Okay, so when you try to open some pages, it will be saying that it is restricted for you, only the HR needs to access. Okay, will you be able to see the pay slips of all the people? Will you be able to see that? But the same portal is used by the HR. Okay, but the same portal is used by the HR to see the payslips. Okay, so this is how it is. So how we are restricting, like due to some security and the access controls, we will be able to do that. Okay, security constraints. Okay, so we have something called as the access controls, which we will be writing. Okay, so in these scenarios, we will be using this server-side scripting. Okay, so these all are the real-time scenarios only. Okay, so whatever I'm telling here, so these all are the real-time scenarios. So now coming to the example. Okay, let's say we have so many scripts here. Okay, as I told you, like so there are two scripts here. One is, where did I write that? Okay, so there are two types of scripts here. One is the client scripts and the UI policies. Okay, but when coming to the server-side scripting, we have so many scripts. Okay, we have something called as the script includes. Okay, We have something called as the workflows. We have something called as the flow designers. We have something called as the UI actions, data policies, schedule jobs. Okay, so there are so many things. Apart from that, UI policies and the client scripts, whatever you have, all will come under the server-side scripting. Okay, so each of the scripting has a different functionality. So when we start learning about this ITSM in a like detailed way, so what we'll be learning initially, we'll be learning what is this instance. Okay, what are the different things which we have in the instance. So this also we didn't like each thing has a different functionality. Okay, and also here also you have a different functionalities. Okay, so apart from that, like we'll just come to what is client side and server side. Then we can just go deep into that what is client side scripting. Say for example UI policies. In the UI policies also I told you like we can do so many things. Okay, so what are the things which we'll be able to do using this UI policies? What are the different client scripts, different types of client scripts, and how we'll be able to do that? And at the same time, like we can just see in detailed about all these scripts. Script includes workflows, flow designers. Okay, it is like each topic will take almost like 2 hours, I can say. Okay, each topic in a detailed way, like if we just want to explain each topic will take 2 hours. So these are something like types of the server side scripts which we have. Okay, like if you just want me to explain in a clear way, I can just say the differences between the client side and server side is something like, say, for example, let's take an example of the execution. Okay. I just want answers from you people now. Okay. So the execution now, okay. I just want the execution on client side where it will happen and on the server side where it will happen. Okay. Okay. The execution for the client script where it will happen. I just need the answers. Browser, yes, you are right. It will not impact the instance. Okay, so there is a way where we can write the script. It's sometimes it's needed to customize some scripts, mostly like based on our requirements and all. We will be customizing the scripts. Okay, it's not something like we will be changing all the out of box scripts. Out of box scripts are something like which are given by ServiceNow by default. Okay, the execution, yes, client side it's on browser. On server side it is, yes, browser level or form, both are same. Database, yes, you're right. Okay, I can say ServiceNow instance. Okay, you're right. Superb. Then after that, like to purpose. What is the purpose of this client side? Why we are doing that client? Why we are writing that client scripts? So whatever you know, you can just type in. Yes, you're right. You're right. To enhance the user interface, to do the form validation. We have already discussed, right? Yes, you're right. Okay, I'll just see enhance UI. Okay, to enhance the UI, we are using this client side. So why we are using the server side scripting? Yes, it will all come from validation. Yes, you're right. To get work done on form level, making fields mandatory. Yes, perfect. Okay, so all these things, we will be able to achieve it using the client side scripting. I think it's not 𝗪𝗏, it's 𝗪𝗏. Okay, so the server side scripting, say for example, the same thing. Okay, if I want to implement any logic, okay, if I just want to say, I'll just say if I want to do any business logic, okay, or else if I want to access data, okay, so that time we will be using the server side. What else we spoke? Let's say language, okay. What language you will be using to write this client side and the server side scripts? Okay, so for both the things, we will be using JavaScript. Okay. But the only thing is like whatever the functions which you use, right? Like that will differ. Here I told you like what are the different methods and what are the different functions which we use, right? Glide form, glide user, server side, we have so many. Okay, so only that differs, but and then everything is same. So coming to the performance, which is more faster, client side or server side. JavaScript jelly, everything, everywhere it's not required. Only when you are dealing with the service portal, then it's required. Yes, you're right. Okay. The client side will be faster because like it is just the UI interactions and it is not getting any data from the backend. So that's the reason like we will be using this client side as the fastest. Okay. So whenever you want to do any client side things, okay, or UI related things to be more precise. Okay, so that time just use this client side script. Okay, and if you want to get any business logic or any data manipulations or I want to access the data. Okay, so that time go for the server side scripts. Okay, so clear about what is client side script, server side script. Yes, no, that's great. Okay, that's great. Now, let me show you, okay, one interesting thing in ServiceNow. Okay, we have something called as a script tracer. Okay, let us see how this works. Actually, we have some debugging tools. Okay, there are some default debugging tools which will be available in the ServiceNow itself. Okay, so script tracer, script debugger. First, let's see what is script tracer. Then we can just go to the script debugger. Okay, script tracer is something like, say, whenever I open, let's see, I have opened this incident. Let's see. Okay, I've just opened this. Okay, and I click on new and I'm doing some functionality. So whatever the functionality I do, so like there will be some scripts which will be running on the back end. Yes or no? Okay, if you just want to know all those scripts, okay, so what you can do, you can just start this tracer. Okay, just click on start tracer. Now, what I'll do, I'll just go here, new. Okay, I'll just put some name. Okay, I'll just say testing script tracer. Okay, I'll just make some subcategory. I'll make the channel. Okay, so there are some on-change, on-load scripts which are running. You can see that this is also highlighted, right? Okay, so these are the things. Let me save it. If you just see here in the script tracer, can you see this? So there were these many scripts which are running. Okay, so now I just don't want to see on the other tables. Okay, so there will be some backend scripts also which will be running. I'll just stop the tracer just to see. Okay. Still loading. I'll say I'll just take business rules. Okay, let's say, so I have taken a business rule. Let me open that rule. Okay, so here what it is doing, so this is the script which is running. gs.get session is interactive and has role admin. Then he will be able to do all the transactions. Okay, and if you want to see, so it is the business rule which is written on the incident. So here in the file tab, I have selected only business rule, right? Let me take the UI actions. Okay, save is the UI action here. So what I have done, I have just gone to this incident and click on save, right? So let me close these things. Okay, so this is the save is an UI action there. or let's say update is an UI action there. Okay, so update is an UI action. So here you just see here say. Okay, so what is the script which is written for say? Okay, and if you want to debug it, okay, you can keep the logs there. So let's go to that script. Okay, so this is the script which is running on that, and this is the transaction which is happening. Okay, so the clear idea of what is happening in the backend. Okay, so if you want to debug any script also, what you can do is you can just put the breakpoints in the scripts. Okay, you can just open this business rule and you can put the breakpoints there, and then you can start testing. So let's say if you want to debug this script, okay, how is it working? You can just click on debug script. Okay, it will tell you like if there are any errors or if there are any log points, and if you want to break points. So for example, if you want to run only this, okay, you can just put a breakpoint like here. Okay, it will save the script till here. So what is happening here? So it will give us the clear idea. Okay, so what you can do is whenever you're writing the script, you can just put the breakpoints also here and there, and you can test how is it run. Clear? Okay, so even the script tracer, okay, so if there is any error, okay, whenever you open a form, you are getting some errors, but you are not sure why are you getting that errors. Okay, you cannot just sit and debug like all the scripts, right? Because I told you there were so many scripts. You cannot sit and debug all the scripts. So what you can do is you can just use the script tracer. Okay, not sure why is it. Even if I stop, clear it. Okay, so even if I debug, okay, so when I run that, okay, so whatever the scripts which will be running in the backend, so all those scripts will be shown up there so that it will be easy for me to debug. Okay, so these are some of the debugging tools. Okay, you will get more idea on this like when you start using it. Okay, clear? I'll not say like you will be 100% clear. Okay, so showing it requires debugging privilege to open. That's you already have an admin role, right? So you'll not be getting an error most probably. If you see here, okay, what is the role you have? You can just check the profile. Okay, and also you have something called as a user table where you can check the roles also. Okay, whenever we request an instance, by default it will be an admin role. So most probably you shouldn't face that error. Sure, right. There's nothing like debugging privilege which needs to be there. What about other people? Are you people able to see that? Yes, no? Great, great. Okay. So this is how it is, like how you want to debug and all these things. Okay. And also whenever you are writing any scripts, okay, whenever you are writing any scripts, there are some what I can say best practices. Okay. There are some best practices which you need to use whenever you write any script. Okay. Let's take glide record. Okay, I'll just say few examples. Okay, in the glide record is something like if you want to get all the details from the table, okay, we'll be using this glide record. So instead of querying all the records from the incident table, okay, so if you want to query all the records from the incident table, it will take lot of time because there will be like hundred thousands of records in a real-time environment. So instead, what you can do is you can add something called as the add query, okay, or you have something called as the add encoded query where you can use that functionality and retrieve only the incidents whatever you require. Say for example, you want the incidents for a specific location. or a specific, I just want to retrieve only the records which have the priority 3. Okay. So I can just do it in that way. Okay. Instead of getting all the things in a single place, I can just do that. Let's say, I'll just show you an example. Okay, you have something called as the background scripts where you can just write the scripts and you can see the output there itself. Okay, so what I want to do in the incident table, I just want to see, um, let's say priority 1 incidents. Okay, group by. Okay, so there were 31 critical incidents like priority 1 incidents. I just want to see only those. Okay. So what I can do, I can just declare a variable. I'll be using this glide record. Okay. And then the table name. Okay. So once I give the table name, inc dot, I can use this add query. Okay. This will be automatically popping up. I can just use that. What I want only priority equals to 1. Okay. So only these incidents I want. What I'll do, I'll just query the table. This will help me to navigate to the next record. I just want to print all those. Dot number. Okay. And also, I just want to print that. That's fine. Okay. I'll just run the script. Can you say this? So I just want to know like whether it printed correctly or not. Okay. I just want to get the row count also. What I can do, I can just say less. Okay. Number of, or else let me do one thing. GS dot print inc dot get. Okay, you have methods for each and everything. Okay, I just want to count it. Can you see this? 31 records. Okay, so these were the list of all the records. Okay, so with this, like what I'm able to achieve, I'm using this particular glide record. Okay, and like instead of printing all the things, all the incidents, it will take so much time. So whatever the records I want, I can just print those things. Okay, so that is something like which makes my life more easier. Clear? Okay, in that way, we have so many things. Okay, we like if we have so many add queries, we need to use add encoded query. Okay, and also we can use next method. Okay, like if you want to go to the next records. Okay, and also like if you want to get the row count. Okay, why I have written this get row count here? Instead, like if I write this get row count in this. Okay, so what will happen is that will be printed each and every time, like 31 times that will get printed. Okay, which is not required for me. So that's the reason like I have written outside the loop. So once you get all these things, once you get like what is this slide record, why are we writing these scripts and what is this functionalities about and all these things, no? Then you will come, then you can just try to learn the code, okay, using the best practices. Okay. So we have both the methods. Okay. We have two methods how we can write the script. But like it's better to learn the best practices so that like your coding will be more efficient. Nothing more than that. Okay. So those are the best practices which we'll be having it. Might be you'll not be pretty much clear about what is happening at each and every line. Okay. So let me explain you in a simpler way. So here what we are doing is we are creating a variable called inc, and we are storing whatever the fields which we have it in the incident, right? So all those fields we are storing it in a variable called inc. Okay, so after that, I'm querying. Why am I querying? I just want to get only the priority one incidents. Okay, so the backend name of priority is, let me open it. Okay, so this is what, right? So the backend name of priority is priority. Okay, I just want to get priority equal to 1. So what I have taken, I've just taken priority equal to 1. So like if I just show you one thing, interesting thing. Okay. Let me filter this out and group. Okay, so now what I want to do is I just want to get only, as of now, there are 110 records. Okay, I just want to get only the active true records, and okay, I just want to get priority is critical records. Okay, so there were, okay, in the active true records, priority one records, there are only 19. And also, what else? 1 minute. Okay, I just want to get the records which has the category as inquiry or help. Okay, I just want to get only those. Okay, so this is the list. Okay, so here I just want to write this in the code. So instead of writing all this, what I can do is writing add query, add query, add query. What I can do, I can just go here, right click, copy query. Okay, simple. So I can just go here, background script. Okay, so all this tips and all you will get to know like once you start working. Okay, so here what we can do in the encoded query, I can just come here. Okay, I'll say where ACQ encoded query. Okay, encoded query. So what is that query? Just paste that query here. Whatever I have copied there, I'll just paste it here. Okay. So now, so the same glide record, instead of add query, what I'll be doing, inc dot add encoded query. Okay. So in that encoded query, I can just write what is that. I can just copy that code here, or otherwise I can just put that simple variable here, basically. Okay. Now can you see this? It's become more easier, right? Okay. It has become more easier. So here what I'm doing, I'll just put the filter there, and I'm using that filter and trying to get the things whatever I want in the code. Is this part clear? So script tracer is something like when you are running, so whenever you open any form, okay, so whatever the scripts which will be running in the background, okay, so all those things will be shown in the script tracer. Okay, it will not, it is not something like scripts are available in the script tracer. Okay, whatever the scripts which are running in the background, all those things will be coming up. Add query also works same, right? Yes, that's what I'm telling you, right? But if you want to use the add query, you have to write like how many add queries you have to write? 1, 2, 3 add queries you have to write. Instead, you can write a single add encoded query, right? Yes or no? Instead of writing so many things, I can write a single add encoded query so that it will be easy for me. Any other questions? So what do you want to roll back? You want to roll back the background script. Okay. So if you want to roll back the background script, you have something called as the system logs. Okay. Say for example, the script is going on running. Okay. What you can do, you can just go to the system logs. You have something called as the all here. Okay. So in the source, you have something called as a script background check. If you just filter with this, you'll be getting that. What happened? Oh shit. Okay, so these all are the background checks which I have ran today. Okay, so you can just open that script. Okay, so all the log entries will also show here. And also whenever you are running any background script, right? Like if it is any error is there, okay, and you can just cancel that in the transactions also. Okay, so that will show, this will show you like what are the scripts which we are running, and we have something called as the transaction logs. Let me show. Okay, we have something called as the active transactions, slow transactions. Okay, you will be able to see that here. Your instance is low because like there were so many transactions which are running, slow transactions. And like if the transaction is continuously running, okay, you can just come here and kill it. Okay, delete this particular transaction. But while deleting, we make sure, okay, you are deleting the right one. As of now, I'll not advise any, it's better not to delete it until and unless you're confident on it. Any other queries? Can we save background script? No, you cannot save it, but you can see it in the logs. If you want to save the scripts, you have something called as the fixed scripts. Okay, so that the purpose of the fixed script is different. This background script is something like you can just run at that time. Okay, and if you want to see what are the background scripts which you have run, as I told you, you can just go to this log and filter it by using the script background check, so that you'll be able to run, you will be able to see who has run that when he has run. Okay, in ServiceNow, just remember one thing. Okay, each and everything is tracked, so we have to be more careful. Okay, you cannot say that like you had done some blunder, and you cannot say that it's not done by me, because everything will be tracked on your name. Okay, and also the timing will be there. So whenever you're doing anything, be more cautious. That's it. Any other questions? I think like yes, all are done. Can you explain the difference between the get value and the get element? Actually, these are the things which we have it in the glide methods. Okay, coming to this get value is something like, say, for example, if you want to get any value from the field. Okay, so that time you will be using this get value. Okay, so these two methods are in the same glide record API only. We will be using these two methods, but like how we'll be writing this get value is something like get value, okay, field name. Say for example, I want to get the value of priority. I can just say get value priority. Okay, so what it will return is might be, if I return something as the priority, it will be an integer. If I write something as a description, it will give me the description. Okay, so it is something like it will get the value from that. Okay, so get element is something like it retrieves the glide element. Okay, it retrieves the glide element for the specific field. Say for example, okay, let's say if you want to perform any addition operation. Okay, if you want to perform any addition operation on like mm, if you want to change the data. Okay, if you want to perform any additional operation and if you want to change the data and if you want to show the display data. So that time we will be using this get element. But this function, this syntax is also same. That is nothing but the get element and the field name. Did this answer your question? In a simple words, like if you understand what is sys and all, what I can say is get value will give you the sys. Okay. The get element will give you the metadata or the display value. Get element is something like sys is something like for each and every record we'll be having the sys. Okay, if you just give the get value, you will be getting the sys of that variable, and if you give the get element, you will be getting the display value. Okay, any other questions? Can we just go to the slides part? Let me just go there. Whatever we have discussed, the same thing is discussed in the slides. Open it. Say day 5. Yeah. So introduction to the ServiceNow JavaScript. Okay. So JavaScript is something like, as I told you, like you will be using the SQL queries to retrieve the data from the database. In the same way, we will be using this JavaScript. Okay. Inside the JavaScript, we spoke something about the glide APIs and all, right? So we will be using that ServiceNow JavaScript, and like if you want to customize something or if you want to automate the workflows or if you want to change anything. Okay. So that time we will be using this ServiceNow JavaScript. So how, like if you want to understand how the ServiceNow architecture will be there, it is something like a multi-instance architecture. Okay. Say for example, if you are working for any organization. Okay. So what will happen is for a single instance. Okay. So for a single instance, there will be like many users who will be logging into it. Okay, so what it will be doing is like for each and every organization, they will be having minimum 3 instances. One is the developer instance, test instance, and the production instance. So it is something like multi-instance architecture. We will be having so many instances. Okay, and each and every instance, as I told you, we will be having the tables. Okay, so inside the tables, we will be having the records, and like to get those data and do some manipulations and all, we will be having the scripts. Okay. Yeah. So to JavaScript best practices, as I told you, like the naming convention should be clear. You cannot say, for example, in the same example, if I have taken, okay. So I'm just writing the script on the incident table. So that's the reason I have given something called as the variable inc. Okay, it is like if you just see that, like you will be able to know, okay, so here she's trying to retrieve from the incident table. So that's why she write inc. Okay, so it's better. Okay, write the relevant names. Okay, instead of writing your names. Okay, you can just write the relevant names, and also when and where it's possible, like just put the comments so that like it will be more clear. Okay, where is it? Common JavaScript hacks, as I told you in the glide record. Okay, so there are different ways. So I have shown you an example. Okay, instead of writing add query, add query, add query 3 times, what I have done, I had just put the query in the table and I just copied it and I used the add encoded query. Okay, so like the real-time validation also we have done, right? Like whatever the records which we see in the table, same records we got it in the script also. So the debugging techniques, we saw that ServiceNow debugger. Okay, so in that we have something called as a ServiceNow tracer, script debugger. Okay, and console logs are something like, as I showed you, system logs. Okay, so here you are able to see in the system log. Okay, in the system log, you will be able to see like the outputs also. Let me show you. Okay, so what is the source about? Like if you just open it, so what we'll be doing is whenever we are writing any scripts, what we'll do, we'll just put gs.log. Okay, so if you put gs.log, what will happen is like what is the value which is stored in that, it will be displayed here. Say for example, if you're not getting the required output, okay, and you are getting something called as undefined, that time we'll be using that system logs. So all that information will be printed in this log table. Administrative insights. Okay, the role management, as I showed you. Okay, based on the role, the access controls, like it differs. Some people will be able to see the tables and some people will not be able to see the tables. Performance optimization, so you have to write the queries in an efficient way. Okay, so that like what will happen is even the script execution time will get reduced and that's not possibility of like the slowness of the instance and all those things. Okay, involves understanding best practices, leveraging hacks, gaining administrative insights, okay, to maximize your instance. So now let's start with this questionnaire. Let me increase the size. Oh my God. Let me make it as 24. Yep. Something wrong with this. Okay. So the first question, where does the client-side JavaScript execute in ServiceNow? Just need the answers from you people. Okay, yes, you're right. It's on the web browser. You're right. Okay, which of this is a okay? Which of these is a common use case for the client-side JavaScripting in ServiceNow? Querying the database for the larger data, querying the database for the larger things, larger data sets, validating form data before submission, and then just give me a minute. Okay, so for the second one, like what is the common use? Querying the database for larger instances, validating form data before submission, performing complex calculations, sending emails. So what is the answer for that? Yes, you're right. Okay, it used to validate the form data. So which object is used to access form fields in the client side? We have seen this. Yes, you're right. It's G_form. Okay. Where does the server-side JavaScript execute in ServiceNow? In the user web browser, on the ServiceNow server, on the client's local machine, separate database. Yes, on the ServiceNow server. Which object is used to query and manipulate the data in the server-side scripting? So we have used something called as the glide record, right? Just now, and we have manipulated the data. Okay. So if you want to manipulate the data and object like so these two things, alert and all these things are on the client side. Okay, so this is the query which we use to get the data from the server side. You're right, glide record. Perfect. Okay, next one, which of this is a common use case for server-side JavaScripting in ServiceNow? Displaying a pop-up alert on the client browser, retrieving the data from table-based specific criteria, dynamically changing the appearance of the form, handling user input in a real time. Yes, you're right, Pinky. So it's retrieving data from a table based on a specific criteria, right? Which of the following is a server-side script type in ServiceNow? Client script, UI policies. Yes, you're right. It's the business rule. What does G underscore user object provides to? It provides the current user information. Okay, G underscore user is something like which is on the client side. It provides us the current user's information. Which method is commonly used to log messages? As I told you, okay, we have something called as the gs.info or gs.error where we can use this logs to print the messages. Think yes, that's it. So do you people have any queries? You can just drop your queries here or else we are good to drop. Okay, then thanks for your time. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye bye. See you on Monday again. Actually, we have something called as the ServiceNow CSA. So we will be talking about it. We have the session for that also. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye bye.